It's Rodney from Bloke Support, and I'm here having a Skype conversation with one of our really good mates, Ben Corrie from Divorce and Men Australia. Ben was an engineer, or is an engineer, and after going through his own divorce, he decided to take his engineering background and actually put divorce into a simple system that he could use for himself. And now he's dedicated himself to teaching that system to help other men go through the same divorce sort of process as him, just to make it a little bit easier. And he's also just written a book which has just come out literally in the last 12 hours as well. So we'll find out a bit more about that. But thanks for being here, Ben.
You're welcome, Rodney. Thanks for inviting me, mate.
All right. So just number one, what's the biggest mistake that guys make when they're going through divorce?
Oh, mate, probably the single most significant thing is being drawn into the argument and I guess the emotional turmoil that's going on. So I mean, both parties, both people in any relationship breakdown are going through a lot of pain, and in many cases it's really easy to intentionally or unintentionally even just send out verbal barbs and do things that are particularly irritating, hurtful to the other person. It's really easy, and something that I found difficult to stop myself doing. It's really easy to just be drawn into a tit for tat debate, or a tit for tat, I didn't get the kids this weekend, so I'm going to make it hard for you to get them next weekend. All of that petty bullshit, really. So being sucked into that and letting, I guess, letting your emotions drag you down to the same sort of level, and it just becomes a cat fight, I suppose. That's really one of the biggest mistakes that men and women make when the relationship's breaking down. Instantly, everyone goes for the big guns. They grab their lawyers, and we start shooting rockets at each other. So in many instances, in the first case when there's a bullet that's shot, if you can find a place in yourself to just accept what's been said as someone else's opinion, not take it on board personally, and not respond or react in a negative or aggressive way, you can really diffuse heaps of nasty situations right at the beginning.
Yeah. So being drawn into all those negative emotions, the anger, the hurt, and then that causes people to, I guess, try and get back or get even at the partner.
Revenge is a biggie.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's hurt me so bad. She left. House is empty. Kids are gone. I'm going to get her. I'm going to protect everything that's mine, and I'm going to get her back.
Okay.
She's not going to hurt me.
So when you come at a place of revenge, like, it's a mistake. Why is it a mistake? Like, what happens? What's the ultimate result of seeking revenge?
It's essentially, I mean, if you're going to do something that's vengeful, its purpose is, generally speaking, to inflict the same amount of hurt or more on the other person. And the feeling that you got when it happened to you was fear. And fear drives anger. And as we know, anger leads to the dark side. So if you're doing that back to her, then all you're going to do is to create two people who are very, very angry, who want to do bad stuff to each other. So somehow, somewhere, someone has to stop.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah, okay. And that can be really difficult. You got a lot of raw emotions. I mean, I know I work
rawer than raw.
You got a lot of emotions that I work with people who are angry myself, and that can be really difficult, especially when, there's a lot of stuff that you feel has been done to you that's unjust. If you've been kept away from kids, if you've had your basic rights sort of taken away from you, and that's how a lot of divorced guys feel. How is it that you can actually keep a level head, and how is it that you can keep from getting yourself to that angry place and acting out of revenge?
The main thing is to remember it's not all about you. And this is the big one. If there's kids involved in the relationship, it is extremely powerful to have in your head at all times, am I acting in the best interests of my children? Is
Right.
this in the best interests of my kids for the long term? So by focusing, by taking it outside of yourself, right? You're not looking at how much you're hurting. You need to sit in that. You can't ignore that, and you do need to manage anger and all of those raw emotions, right? But in terms of responding and taking action, where you take the initiative, where you initiate action, okay, that turns thinking into reality. When you do that, are you acting in the best interests of the children? So that, for me and for many men, is a very effective way to diffuse extremely volatile situations, particularly when you're dealing face to face with her. It might be at changeover or at a school, parent-student interview or something, or a teacher-parent interview at school. So there's lots of instances where you can't avoid coming into contact with your ex if there's kids involved, but it's easier in that circumstance to have your children's welfare and their long-term interests at the back of your mind, because that's why you're there. So
Yeah. And so I imagine all this is made easier if you have a team around you. Obviously, someone like yourself to help you through this process. But who else do you recommend guys actually get in their team and in their sort of court to help them through a divorce and through
Mate,
all the
personally, obviously there's a lawyer, okay? So we all like to think, it's okay, I'm still talking to her, we can get through this without a lawyer. You can't, don't do it. The issue is setting up agreements or arrangements which, in fact, later on down the track, when something goes a bit wrong, can be overturned in court, okay? So you will need to take some legal advice. You may not, ideally, you won't have to ask your lawyer to send a letter. You definitely may not end up in court. You don't have to do that. But you definitely need to see a lawyer and talk to them about your obligations with respect to your children, your ex-wife, and your rights. Okay? So you're going to talk to a lawyer. They're probably one of the first people that I would suggest that a man goes to see, not to, as I say, develop a legal position, but just to understand what the lay of the land is from a legal point of view, and more importantly, what his obligations are. Yeah. So there's words like abandonment and things like that get bandied around when you shut down all the cash flow and stuff like that. So is that definitely your friends? They're pretty good, but they're untrained in the dark arts of psychology. So take their advice with a grain of salt, but they're great shoulders to cry on. Don't cry on your kids' shoulders. They don't need it. And definitely, I used a psychologist. So you can go to not Medicare. You go to your GP, and he'll write you out a voucher to go and talk to a psych, and you get a Medicare refund on it. So that was 6. I got 6 sessions. I think I paid something like $40 or $50 a session.
Yeah.
So a little bit of an investment, but God, it just helped me so much. So I guess there's probably that a 3-pronged approach. You need your friends for a soft landing, and a bit of sympathy, but just be really wary about taking too much of their advice. And I would recommend someone like myself as well, who's actually arm's length, not your mate, is prepared to bitch slap you if you're being a little bit petty or maybe forgetting about the kid's interests, right? Who can actually give you some advice on your strategy, which is bigger than legal. That's more than just the legal stuff. The strategy, how you deal with yourself, how you cope with your kids, how you manage your job, what your legal position is, how you're going to pay for all this stuff. So there's bigger picture stuff. It's your life, and the lawyer's just one piece of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So don't get drawn into thinking that it's all about lawyers. It isn't.
Yeah. And so a lot of that strategy stuff that you were talking about building, I imagine there's a lot of that in your book.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. There's in the very first chapter, the primary focus is all about you. So that's things like just getting your emotions in check, recognizing what you're feeling, working your way through a bit of the grief, writing stuff down, like setting up a diary and writing down stuff. So that's emotionally helpful, but it's also a really powerful thing when you get down the track and you're trying to remember what happened, who had the kids, where they were, who said what on what day, all that kind of thing. That may be handy down the track, so just start doing it. Whether you're going to go to court or not, it doesn't make any difference. It's a good thing to do. And really key, and I've got some templates in the book, right? And one of them is actually a goal-setting template. So it just works through big picture, find what is it you want in your heart, and it might simply be to find a place to rent, right? Find a place to live. Get out of mum and dad's place, find a place to rent. It could be that you want your kids more, you want to see your kids more in the long term, or it might be that you just want to get back on your feet and buy a house. Okay, whatever the goal is, there's a big picture goal there, and you need to recognise when you're there. So define it in as clearer terms as you possibly can, and then we break that down into smaller activities. So from a goal, we go down into tasks, and underneath those tasks, there is a series of actions, and each action might only take 5 or 10 minutes, and you just need to do one a day. But every single day, that means that you're taking a step.
Okay. And so if people want more information about this book or getting in contact with you for some of this help, what's the first step? Where can they go? What can they do?
Mate, I've done a few things already. So I've got my own website. That's www.divorceandmen.com. That's going past the screen right now down there, I think. Yep. And I've also got a Facebook page as well. So if you just get onto Facebook and type in Divorce and Men Australia, my page will come up. And I'm also on your site too, Rodney. I guess it's your video, so the guys will be on there. I'm probably over there on your likes list or something like that, so there'll be a connection.
Yeah.
If you go to Google with the SEO stuff and you type in Divorce and Men Australia, that's Divorce and Men Australia, I'll be on the front page of that.
Okay, great, fantastic.
So just go to my website, have a look at what's there. I'll run some programs for guys. So over the course of 3 months, just working with them one-on-one. I've got a video program, like a video course virtually on divorce. So starting off with you, moving to the kids, managing them, getting things set up for them. Legal stuff, lawyers, how to do that. Do it yourself, divorce kits. They're out there, but it's a little bit complicated. So there's some ins and outs around that type of stuff too. So it's all of that, just practical, hands-on, what's the next step sort of stuff, I guess. And that's a video course, and my book's there as well. And if you just want to drop me a line, my email address is on that as well, on the website.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing your insight and your wisdom with us. And just a reminder, if you too need help with a lot of the emotional stuff out there, with anger, with stress, with uncertainty, if you'd rather not get in touch with a psych, you can also get in touch with us at Bloke Support. It's blokesupport.com.au. And obviously, on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Bloke Support. And we can help you out with all that emotional stuff as well. Thanks.
Actually, I must say, Rodney, that your webinar that's coming up on relationships and recognising the signs of when things are breaking down a little bit. For a lot of guys who have been through the hoops already, so men who are already divorced and might actually be on their second relationship or third or fourth or whatever, they already know some of the stuff. So often in that sort of circumstance, it's extremely helpful to have a framework around the stuff that you kind of know intuitively in your heart, but to actually have a way to think about it logically and systematically, certainly from a man's point of view, is extremely helpful. And those sorts of webinars on detecting things before they go wrong kind of go over the head of first-timers a little bit, but for men who have actually lived through a couple of relationships, really powerful stuff. So I would thoroughly recommend hooking up to that webinar. When is it, mate?
It is on the 28th of November. So watching the video afterwards, it should be around somewhere.
Yeah. So it'll be around. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to go. I'll be hooking up on the day. So
awesome.
Yeah. So if you've been through the ringer on a relationship and you don't want to screw it up again, have a listen and identify the things that you can do better the second time around or the third time around. So, yeah, get yourself in there. Oh, by the way, that's my book. That's how it looks. There's
Fantastic.
a little plug for it. You can get it on Smashwords, and should be in the next 36 hours or 48 hours, I think. It'll be on Amazon as well, and Apple, the Apple Bookstore, and all those sorts of things like that. So, again, those links will be on my website too.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us, Ben. It was been awesome. And if we don't see you at the webinar, we'll see you on the other side of this video somewhere.
You'll see me at the webinar, baby. Don't you worry about that. Thanks for the invite, Rodney. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Awesome. See you later.
Good talking to you. Bye now.